everyone, it's Karen from the Geordie Grandma. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to give you an update on my cash envelope experiment that I've been doing for the last probably about 6 months now. I did talk about it in a previous video, but if you didn't watch that, I will give you a quick recap on what it's all about. So first of all, what is cash stuffing or the cash envelope system? It was something I came across on YouTube last year. So you take the cash out of the bank and put it into envelopes for different categories, and it helps you budget and save more easily. That's the theory. So why did I start doing that? If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that about 6 months ago, we had a huge life change and there was a huge drop in our finances, which was a little bit scary. I've never been very good with money. We've always been terrible at saving. I don't have credit cards. I don't get bank loans. I just don't do credit because I have had problems with that in the past. And I have said before that to get to the age of 61 and not know how to manage your money properly is quite shocking, really. But that's the way it is. You know, if you're good with money, if you are good with your bank accounts and with your credit cards, you probably don't need to watch this. But for those of us who are not so good, then maybe this is for you. Before we had the drop in finances, you know, we had a decent income coming through, not a huge amount, but it was a decent income. So it wasn't as important to kind of keep an eye on what we were spending. So I've never been very good with checking out my bank balance, because sometimes you spend things and it doesn't go out of your bank straight away. And then I would get confused because I would forget and I'd think, where's this money gone that's now gone out of my bank, and I would forget. So checking my bank balance was always an issue. And like I say, when you've got money coming in, you don't really think about what you're spending. You know, if you're feeling down, you might go shopping, or if you're not feeling down and you go shopping, you just buy things, sometimes for the sake of it. I did bring a video out recently that talked about things to do instead of going shopping as retail therapy, because I think we do that. You know, we go shopping, we pick up things, we get them home and we think, why did I buy that? When you're decluttering, you find loads of things that you've bought and you thought, why haven't I used that? So we do overspend, but when you've got money coming in, it's not so much of an issue. But when we took that huge drop in income, it was going to be an issue. So I knew I needed to do something about it. In the cash envelope system did seem like a good option for me. It was a bit of a slap in the face when we didn't have anything coming in, because we didn't have a lot. We did have a little bit of savings, but it wasn't enough. It would have been nice if we had like at least a 6-month backup of what we'd been earning, but we didn't do that. We did maybe had 2 months at the most. I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't have anything like that. So it really made me stop and think about what I was doing, because if we ever did go back to earning the money we were before, I didn't want to be left in the same position. So like I said, I'd watched a few YouTube videos on cash stuffing or the cash envelope system, where people were putting all of the envelopes into different categories. So they would have categories for things like shopping and clothing and maybe holidays, food, things like that, maybe gas and electric. And I needed to work out what was right for me. So I've always used a spreadsheet. I say I'm not good at saving and I'm not good with money, but I've had a spreadsheet for years where I've got a list of all of the bills that go out monthly or weekly or whenever. So I know exactly what I need to pay. What I wasn't very good with was the bit that was left over from that. So I went through the spreadsheet, I wrote everything down that needed to be paid, probably through the bank. So things like mortgage, gas and electric, council tax, water. I couldn't do cash envelopes for that because they get paid through the bank, and that had to be where the money stayed. So I got all that. I had all that on a spreadsheet. So I went through all of that and I looked at things that I could cancel. So things like streaming subscriptions. Did I really need Amazon Prime, Netflix, Disney Channel, Now TV? Did I really need all of those? I cancelled some of them and kept some. We weren't having much entertainment of anything else, so TV was something that we did need, so I did keep a couple of them. Amazon Prime I've always had, because if I buy things on Amazon, I like to get the free shipping, and I can also make use of Amazon Prime TV. So it is a good idea to go through all of the subscriptions that you've signed up for, because some things you might not even remember signing up for. I once signed up for Readly, which is the app where you can read magazines and newspapers online. And I think it was a monthly subscription, and I just wasn't using it. So I cancelled that a few years ago. But there may be things on your subscriptions that you've even forgotten you have. So it's a good idea to check all of those out, which is what I did. So once I'd worked out all of that, I then need to work out what was coming in. And because we had no income coming in anymore, because Warren couldn't work, it was difficult. I had to apply for benefits, and it was a nightmare, which was another slap in the face, and which was another extra thing that made us want to do this. And I'm so pleased I did start it. So once I'd worked out how much was going to be coming in, I could work out what I could afford to put into savings cash envelopes. And I tell you, it wasn't a lot. But there was something that I could do once I'd whittled all of the other bills down to the bare minimum. So this is the little file that I got. I just got this on Amazon. I think it was £5. I'll put a link to it below just in case you're interested. You don't need this. You could just use ordinary envelopes if you've got them. But this for me was just pleasing to have. So it's got lots of little plastic envelopes in that you then put your cash into. So I set up different categories for different things that I was going to save money for. So the different things that I had set up originally were things like entertainment. So they were things like takeaways, or nights out, which we hadn't had in the last few months, but maybe we will in future. Day trips out, which we have done. Little things that I would class as entertainment. We had personal envelopes, so there was a personal envelope for me and a personal envelope for Warren, and we could spend whatever we wanted with that money. Maybe going to break that down a little bit further, so it could be like hobbies or clothes or makeup, just so I could allocate specific amounts to each ones that I wanted more of. Then I had envelope for birthdays, so if there was the two closest birthdays coming up, I would set up an envelope for that and put money into that each month. I had an envelope for Christmas, which is a very useful thing to have. I did think about an envelope for holidays. Obviously, I didn't need holidays at the time, but it was something I wanted to think about for the future. And having thought about it, I think for larger purchases, a bank account, savings account would probably be better for that, because I think keeping such a large amount of money in a cash envelope is probably unrealistic. Originally, I did have an envelope for food and household shopping, but I'll get into that in a minute as to why I'm not doing that anymore. So the pros and cons of the cash envelope system from my opinion, over the last 6 months. I'll start with the cons, because I think it's always good to end with the pros. The first thing, obviously, the con is you have to go to the bank to get the money out. You have to go to a cash point to get the money out. And that might be an issue for some people. Luckily, I've got a post office that's close to me. It was easy to walk to take the cash out. There's not many banks on the high street anymore, but there is lots of cash points. So if you're not happy to do that, then that could be a drawback. The second con for me was taking the envelopes with us shopping when I wanted to buy something. I found that, I suppose I could have taken the money out of the envelopes and put it in the purse, but if I had money from two different categories, then that was going to be confusing for us as well. I'm easily confused. So taking the envelopes with us, I found a little bit faffy. And also, if you lost your bag with your cash in, you're pretty much not going to get it back. Whereas if you lose your bag with your credit cards in, it's easy to put a stop on that and you haven't lost anything. Or your debit cards, not credit cards. So yeah, that could be a drawback as well. The other drawback is one for me with the groceries, and it's why I stopped doing it for groceries. I found that if I go to Sainsbury's, I usually scan. So you know how much you're spending when you're scanning because it totals it up for you. But when you get to the scanning tills, there is not many tills where you've scanned that take cash. So if it was busy, there would be a queue for the ones that took cash. And I just found that a little bit irritating. And I was in Aldi and I wanted to pay cash. There was one till in the whole shop that took cash, and there was a queue up the shop. So for me, with the food and the household stuff, I find the cash envelope system a little bit clunky. I think there is too many drawbacks for me with that. So I've left that in the bank for now. I am going to set up a Monzo account, which is like an online banking app, and it helps you save money, and you can put them into what they call pots within your bank account, just like a cash envelopes. So I'm going to try that. I haven't set it up yet, but I am going to try it, and I will let you know at a future date how that goes. But that does sound interesting to me. I think I would use that account for food and household shopping, and maybe saving for larger purchases like holidays. So for the pros for the cash stuffing, it really does make you think about what you're spending. Excellent for intentional spending if you want to think more about it. So for instance, if I was going to Home Bargains in the past, I might have just put loads of stuff in my trolley, got to the checkout, paid for it, got it home and thought, why did I buy these things? Whereas with cash stuffing, you take your envelope with you that you've got maybe for, I don't know, whatever you're buying, personal stuff. You walk around the shop, and it's really going to make you think. If you've got £40 in your cash envelope, you have to think, if you get to the till and you spent more than £40, you're going to have to put stuff back. That may be embarrassing for you. It might not be something you want to do. So you're really going to think on your way round about what you're spending. Maybe I wouldn't have picked up so many different face masks and foot packs that I have in my stock, if I'd thought about what I was spending. It also stops you doing the impulse buying online. So if you're an Amazon shopper, or any kind of shopper, if you buy clothes online, say you buy from Shein or you buy from Marks and Spencer's, you may put things in your basket and just check out and buy it without thinking about it. And then you're either sending things back, or you're sometimes stuck with things that you're not going to wear, or you think, why did I buy that? With the cash stuffing, if you haven't got the money in the bank to spend online, then you're going to put things in your basket, you can't check them out. And it'll give you a couple of days to think to yourself, now do I really want those things? And give you a chance to actually take the money to the bank, put it in and buy them. And probably 9 times out of 10, before you actually get to the bank to put the money in, you'll think, I don't really want them, and you'll delete the things in your basket. So it's good. If you've got an online shopping habit, then that is worth trying. Set up an envelope for clothes instead, and then wait until you've saved up for what you want to buy. I mentioned before that people like retail therapy. I've been guilty of doing that in the past. I'll go shopping if I feel down. I'll go shopping if I'm happy. I just like shopping, and it's that dopamine hit you're looking for. You know, it's really satisfying to go and buy something, but a lot of the times, by the time you get it home, you're kind of thinking, did I really need that? Why did I buy it? And I think we're all guilty of that. And I did do a video a while ago on things that you could try instead of going shopping for retail therapy. So things that would give you that dopamine hit. Now for me, I have been doing that, and I haven't craved the shopping trips half as much as I used to. That is possibly because of, you know, Warren's illness and all of that. I haven't wanted to go shopping, but I think going forward, now that he's in remission, I still don't really want to do that. I don't want to go shopping. I haven't got that craving to go shopping. So I think I've overcome that a little bit. But what I found does give me a dopamine hit is seeing that cash build up in the envelopes. It's a really satisfying feeling. And actually, you know, if you have got a close envelope set up, taking the money out of that envelope and counting it and seeing how much you've saved gives you that dopamine hit. Honestly, try it. Counting cash is so much more satisfying than looking at your bank balance. It definitely works better as a dopamine hit. So I definitely think the cash system, the cash envelope system, is working for me. I've tweaked the different categories on the envelopes that I've had. I'll probably change them again in future as our finances increase again. It's going to be easier, and I can maybe add more in there, so it will be easier to set up things for maybe, you know, nights away, stuff like that. But it definitely makes you think about your budget. Once you've done that list of what you've got to pay, and then take out what you've got left for the month, and then work out exactly what you want to spend it on. And you'll find that the initial envelopes you set up, you might think to yourself, okay, I've allocated, say, £20 to this envelope. I may not really need £20 for that envelope, so you tweak that and put it into a different envelope, but it will show you as the months go on what you spend your money on, and it'll make you think about what you want to buy against the things that maybe that you don't really need, and you don't know why you were buying them in the first place. I did find that with the envelopes that I was setting up. So for instance, I realised that I don't actually need that many clothes. I've got a wardrobe full of clothes. I've got boxes of clothes that you put away for winter and summer. I don't really need any new clothes. Yes, it's nice to buy them, but if you don't need them and your money is tight, then maybe that money can go somewhere else. Maybe I would prefer a night away rather than buying clothes. So if money's tight, I'm going to put more money into doing things rather than buying things, if that makes sense. So that's where I am with the cash envelope savings system. I am enjoying it. I will continue to do it. Like I said, the food and household, I'm going to do that through the Monzo app once I've got that set up, and I will keep you updated on how that goes. I am going to continue to build up an emergency fund in the cash envelope system, which I may move online eventually, but for the moment, for me, seeing that cash go into the emergency envelope just helps me mindset, and it has been really useful actually over the last 6 months, that emergency fund. Even when I only had a little amount in it, our toilet broke down, it just wouldn't flush anymore, it broke, and we needed to get a plumber out. And I had that money in the emergency envelope to pay the plumber. Whereas before, I may have thought, where the hell am I getting this money from? So having that kind of safeguard for me really helps my mindset. And I have found it really useful for birthdays and Christmas. We had both grandkids' birthdays recently, and I had the money saved to go and buy them something. It's my daughter's birthday coming up in a few weeks' time. I've got money set aside for that, and if I start saving I've already started saving now for Christmas, and if I keep that going every month, then I don't need to worry about next Christmas, and it does take a weight off your shoulders. Maybe eventually I'll be able to do away with the cash envelope system, but for now, being able to see that cash and seeing it build up is a really good mental backup for me. So let me know if you do the cash envelope system or how you budget. I'd really be interested in knowing. I don't need you to say to us, oh Karen, this is terrible, you should be able to do it online at your age. I don't need anybody to tell us that, because I already know it. You do you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.